Greetings, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Dungeon of Deadly Delights. I'm, of course, Rob, and this is my lovely killer bunny wife, Melody.
Hello.
We are killers and robbers, and this is in honor of our home invasion episode, which in celebration of the release of the 4K of Hush, which there is a little bit of backstory to this and why we are so excited about this, but aside from a Netflix streaming release, there was no plans for any kind of 4K, Blu-ray release, DVD release, anything like that. The movie's just going to get lost in the ether. That was something that Mike Flanagan and his wife Kate Siegel, who of course you know from all of Mike Flanagan's stuff, another man who likes to work with his wife. I have no problem with it. Mike, work with your wife. Rob, work with your wife. I work with my wife. It's no problem with it. Okay. So anyway, the story goes is that they got a deal with Shout Factory, and they're coming out with an actual collector's edition for the film, which is going to have all the bells and whistles, director's commentary, behind the scenes stuff. Absolutely incredible. I'm so happy for them because they really thought this was like a movie that was just going to get lost in the sauce.
I'm so glad it's not getting lost. This movie is so good.
It's definitely one of the best home invasion films
so
that
good.
there has ever been.
Yeah.
100%. But there are so many of them. And that is why me and Melody have titled this episode Don't Open the Door. And this is in honor of the home invasion subgenre. What is our first deadly delight when it comes to home invasion, Melody?
Gotta start off with the Purge.
Absolutely.
Gotta start off with the Purge. Yes.
So, I mean, we like to use the term, if you've been living under a rock, the Purge is a massive, massive series. I mean, it's got 5 movies behind it.
Mm-hmm.
The last one
Yes,
being the
it does.
Forever Purge, which I never watched. Because it just got a little too real and intense, which I do appreciate it, but at the same time, it's like, let's just kind of, fall back on that a little bit. You know what I mean?
And if anybody is purging in this kind of mask, I'm sorry, but dude, these things are not comfortable, and you can't see very well out of them. So,
yeah,
realistically, no.
that's a good point.
Yeah.
And here's another good point. A lot of people like to throw it out there that, like, oh God, there's going to be a purge someday. There's going to be a purge. Look, the fact of the matter is that the idea of the purge, 12 hours, no emergency, like contact or anything like that, no ambulances, no government. Look, that sounds great and all, but like, you're not going to be able to get a booming economy just through security system sales and weaponry. That's not how the economy works. So it's not going to happen.
No, what they were basically doing is they were killing off all the poor people.
Yes.
Yeah, they're killing off all the poor people. So
right, but the whole thing was with this particular purge, is that the founding fathers were, actually becoming, or the rich people were becoming lucrative because they were selling home security systems, and weaponry was going through the roof.
Oh yeah,
you know what I mean?
sure, yeah.
Like, that was the only two things keeping the economy afloat. Get the fuck out of here. That's not how the economy
works. And then
works.
not only that, like, even the super rich were jealous of the other super rich, and they were like, trying to kill each other off too,
Yes.
to make a buck. You know what I mean?
Right. If you kill people off, if you deport people, if you do whatever, that's the difference, of this movie, is that the economy is busted. So it would be a horrible idea.
Yeah.
It would be a horrible idea. Less people on the earth, less economy. Anyway, let's get into the Purge. So, Melody, what do you think about this movie?
I actually, when this movie first came out, I quite enjoyed it. It was a whole different concept when it first came out.
Yeah.
So basically, you have this family living in this gated community, and this father actually sells security systems for the Purge.
Yep.
And
really ignorant lawn markers, and like it looks horrible because there's so much shit you have to put outside your house.
Right. Yeah.
Which comes into play later.
Yeah. So it's a father, a wife, a son, and a daughter. And the daughter's boyfriend is there.
Played by Ethan Hawke and the amazing Lena Headey.
Yes.
Yeah. So really great parenting cast already.
Mm-hmm. Well, the Purge goes down, and the boyfriend has snuck back in, and the boyfriend basically is like, I'm gonna go talk to your father and make sure that we can date and blah blah blah. But turns out he just wants to kill the father.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a homeless man running through the neighborhood,
Yeah.
trying to find sanctuary in somebody's house. Well, the little boy has a soft heart,
Yeah.
and lets this man into the house.
Yeah.
Big mistake, because there's a group of young adults that are all masked up that find out that this man is in the house, and that was their purge. That's what they wanted to do.
I don't think it was a big mistake, though. I mean, as we learned later on, I mean, this guy has some skill. But aside from that, why are you going to let a homeless black man just die in the street? You know what I mean? Like, I personally, I wouldn't be able to do that. You know what I mean?
Well, right, but the same thing, at the same time, like, it put them in a bad predicament.
Right.
You know what I mean? It put them in a situation where his family is now at risk.
So this real waspy kid and his buddies are like running around. The girls are dressed like bunnies and dolls, and the guys are dressed like dolls and shit. And he basically like has this like crazy, you know, like smile mask on, and he takes it off, and he's like this little yuppie asshole. And you know, it's clear when he goes to the door that the fact that the family let this black man in, their purge is absolutely racially motivated. We just want to kill a homeless black man.
Yeah.
And that's that, you know? And you're going to get him out of there, or we're going to come the fuck in.
And when we come in, we're going to kill him and you. And
kill
your
all of
family.
you.
Yeah,
yes.
kill all of you. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So, you know, it becomes an issue where the mother and the father are trying to find this guy, and the son is helping to hide this guy. Mm-hmm. And this guy is like, you know, just trying to not die.
Right. But when the family's in peril, it turns out that this man is actually highly decorated and he's a war veteran. Mm-hmm. And he's got some skills. And he kills these people pretty easily. And because of them letting him in, they have an ally to keep him away from these yuppie scumbags.
Yeah.
Because he pretty much
they use
like,
a battering ram to actually get into the house.
Yes. Yep. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh. I you know, aside from all that, of course, you know, there's this whole thing where, you know, you have this kind of straw dog situation where Ethan Hawke is, you know, attempting to, you know, like save his family, and they're, you know, trying to, you know, like protect their home. Mm-hmm. And that does come into play, but I think the most interesting aspect of it is that these purgers were paid by
the neighbors.
The neighbors.
Yeah. Because
the neighbors were pissed off that Ethan Hawke and his security, you know, like company, or, you know, the security they were selling through the company was making all kinds of money, and then they were also like upset that if they used the purge equipment and shit, like their lawns are going to look gauche because they have to put all these security like things on the lawn and shit.
Yeah, so they wanted to kill off his family,
which is crazy.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like literally, that's like fucking. You know, I don't like the, you know, size of the tree that's in the front of your house. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, literally, so petty.
Oh, yeah, totally.
You know? So what happens after that?
So basically, they get through the purge, and then some of the neighbors come in and try to kill him anyways.
Correct. Because there's a little bit of time left on the clock.
Mm-hmm.
So then Lita Headey like does the most awesome thing in the movie, and she slams this woman's face into a fucking table and breaks her nose, and she's like, "No more killing."
Right.
Let's let the clock just go to, you know, let's just let it go. You know what I mean? And then of course, you know, we get that whole radio thing where it's like, you know, oh, this is the most successful purge, and da 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 da. And, you know, that's where, you know, like, that's where the economy comes in. Like, the Dow is booming because of, you know, weapon sales and security system sales. That's not how economy works, as I said before.
Right.
I follow a lot of politics, guys. I know this for a fact. The purge could never happen. It's bullshit. It's such a great premise when it comes to a horror film, but clearly not a good thing for the country. But, you know, of course, like you said, there's a bunch of other sequels. I honestly like the other two with Frank Grillo a lot better.
Yeah.
Because it feels more like Escape from New York. You know what I
mean? Yeah.
But this is a nice little addition. I mean, you know, again, like, it's a very low budget film, and it did like fucking like gangbusters.
Well, I mean, it spawned off an entire series. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Not only that, but also like remember there was a series on USA for a couple seasons.
The Purge series.
The Purge series, yeah. Yep. So they had a show on USA, and they had, you know, and that show was like showcasing like pretty much like the government aspect, the like the rich, elite aspect, from the people that actually like do like the sort of like the cleaning up of the purge. You know what I mean? Like, so yeah, there's a whole universe attached to this thing.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
Melody, what is our next deadly delight when it comes to Don't Open the Door?
Ooh, The Collector.
The Collector.
Oh, I love this movie.
Yeah. This is directed by Marcus Dunstan, who also did a sequel for the film, and is also going to do the final part of the trilogy for the film, which actually was another thing that just kind of got lost due to, I guess money woes. There were some financial problems with the third one or something, or I guess it was like also COVID-19 kind of affected it.
The fall of civilization.
Yeah. The thing I love about this, this Collector movie is that, yes, it is absolutely a home invasion film, but it's like so much more unique than just that.
Oh my God, yes.
I do want to mention to you before we start this is that originally this was, I think it was a script called The Midnight Man, and it was supposed to be like an offshoot of Saw, and they decided against that and to make it a more original idea, and that's where The Collector kind of came in from there.
Yeah.
So, The Collector, man, what do you think?
Oh my God. Okay, I absolutely love this movie. This movie is raw. It is brutal. The kills are, oh my freaking God. So basically, you have.
You can definitely see the Saw influences, though, right?
Oh yeah, totally. Yeah. So you have this guy who is, he's a contractor working on this guy's house, and his family is living there.
His name is Arkin. Yep.
But he is technically he's a thief, and he's scoping out the house to try to find this diamond. And he has a certain time period to do this because his wife fucked up, and she owes big money to.
It's a bookie.
Yeah, to bookies. Yep. So he's like, okay, we got to do this tonight. So he goes into the house. What he doesn't realize is that he thinks the family is gone. What he doesn't realize is that this crazy serial killer has this family trapped in this house, and this whole house has become like
House of Horrors.
Well, House of Horrors, a bunch of traps.
Yeah.
A bunch of traps, and you can't get out once you're in.
So this is a blend of kind of like sort of like Saw. There was an actual real life serial killer named H.H. Holmes, who like literally made a hotel. A House of Horrors.
Yeah.
You heard of him?
Yep.
It's also got sort of like this Italian giallo feel, because it's like, Italian films like to, like use these kind of weird looking masks that kind of like, kind of take away the shape and form of the face, so there's nothing there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's a really cool design for The Collector, is what I'm saying.
Right.
Yeah.
So basically, this guy is trying to help this family get away from this guy. He fails.
Well, hold on. He breaks in, okay, because they have a ruby that he wants to get a hold of. Because it's a
diamond.
I think it's a ruby.
Okay.
Yeah.
A gem.
It's a gem of some sort. It's an uncut gem. No Adam Sandler though. But so he goes in to try to get this, this gem, and he discovers that the family is not alone, and
well, they were supposed to be gone.
Right.
That house was supposed to be empty.
Right. But there's a whole situation with the family where the father had found a case, like in the middle of the room, and of course that's when he got attacked by the Collector. And what the Collector does,
he collects people.
Yeah.
He kills off everybody except for one person, the one person he wants to collect. Yeah.
So Arkin, sees the situation actually happening. He tries to phone 911, and he gets his ear punctured because there's some sort of nail mechanism in the fucking phone. It goes right through his ear, like his eardrum, which is like, what?
This guy gets messed up so bad.
Oh, dude, really bad.
Really bad.
Like Bruce Willis Die Hard style.
Yeah.
Like he's just bloody by the end of this thing. Yeah. So then the daughter comes home.
The older daughter comes home, with her boyfriend.
They're getting ready to bang. He gets pulled into a fucking room with bear traps in it, which is fucking crazy. And then, then Arkin actually like encounters the husband for the first time. The husband tells him that he also has a young daughter named Hannah, like hiding in the house. And that's, when you see that this guy is actually like he's a father and he has a heart of gold, kind of, you know what I mean?
Well, because the thing is, he actually got out of the house and he's running away, and then he sees a little girl in the window.
Yeah.
And he realizes he has to go back in to save her. because everybody else is dead.
Yeah.
The mother's dead, the father's dead, the older sister's dead, the boyfriend is dead. So he realizes he has to go back in because the collector wants to collect the little girl.
Yeah. So aside from razor blades on the windowsill and all these different contraptions in the house, the collector also has this huge German Shepherd. He basically uses this thing as just a weapon in itself.
Right. Until
Arkin ends up. This is one of the best things in the movie, when he kills the dog and he throws it in a waste bin and sets it on fire and throws it at the collector. Yeah. Which is what?
Oh, it was crazy.
Yeah.
And then the other thing is in the end, it's you think he gets away, but then the collector
But wait, here's the other thing about the collector. They actually have hand-to-hand combat, him and Arkin, and dude can fight too. So.
Oh yeah.
I mean, he's across the board just a threat, the most dangerous threat you could possibly imagine.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, you were saying about the ending.
But in the end, he's in the ambulance, and he's gonna get away, but then the collector
stops the fucking ambulance.
He hits it with his car, and then he goes into the ambulance and he pulls him out, and
hopefully we'll be able to cover the second movie at some point. But man, we find out that the collector is really a collector. He's not just putting people in boxes. He's literally dipping them in acid and making art sculptures out of their body parts and shit. It's pretty wild.
Yeah.
Our next deadly delight when it comes to Don't Open the Door is a Wes Craven cult classic. There were rumblings that Monkey Paw Productions, which is Jordan Peele's company, had gotten the rights to People Under the Stairs.
Oh my god.
And that Jordan Peele was going to direct it. Now, it hasn't come to pass yet at all, because this is a while ago that it was announced, but that was originally the plan. And when it comes to the gentrification and the societal stuff of this story, he would have been perfect for it.
Oh, totally.
Absolutely perfect for
it.
I do want to mention, before we talk about the film, we are talking about People Under the Stairs, by the way.
Yes.
That Wes Craven got this idea. I think there's two black robbers in the 70s, I believe, who broke into a house and had discovered that these parents were basically holding their kids up as their own hostages.
Oh wow.
So they actually did the right thing and got the kids out, knowing full well that they'd get in trouble for being caught stealing, you know what I mean, or whatever. But it would probably cancel all that out, considering they did the right thing.
They saved all these kids, right? Yeah.
Or maybe not, because it's race shit. Who the fuck knows? But I hope they did.
Yeah, right?
But anyway, People Under the Stairs, Mel. You love this movie.
I love it
very much. So
I do.
Go ahead and talk a little bit about People Under the Stairs.
All right, so you've got this family that's in this apartment complex that's about to be. They're the last ones there. The owners are trying to get rid of everybody so they can actually tear down this building and build into condos or whatever. They didn't pay the rent on time, so they got to find a way to come up with money. Anyway, so the big bad man comes in. He's like, "Hey boy, I found a way for you to make money. We're gonna go hit this house. We need your help." Yeah. And it turns out it's the house of the owners, and they're crazy.
Well, no,
they are crazy.
I mean, not even just crazy. The Robinsons are just fucking disgusting people.
Yeah, well, because they're brother and sister, and they're stealing children and pretending like it's they're the father. You're burying
the fucking lead already. Yeah. Come on. So okay, so to break it down a little bit more, is basically it's set in Los Angeles, and you have this young kid. He calls himself Fool.
Yeah.
But his real name is Poindexter, and he's told by this young older black man Spencer that him and his buddy Ving Rhames are going to infiltrate this house.
And steal these gold coins.
And Fool should be part of it because his mother has cancer, and she doesn't have the money to provide herself, with the medical bills.
Yeah, and also they have to pay rent,
Right, exactly. And these nasty, extremely white motherfuckers are basically taking these black, basically black rented, establishments and gentrifying them for money. For money, for more white people to move in and stuff. It happens all over the place. That's why I think Jordan Peele would have been a great addition to doing a remake, because he understands all that kind of stuff.
Right, yeah.
How, like, basically, certain urban properties are, they also played it into it in Candyman, the remake, a little bit.
Yeah.
Was that, the gentrification thing kind of like, just rubs out history. The history of families, history of people that have been there. Aside from all that stuff, the important stuff when it comes to society's ills, why else do you love this movie? Because it's fucking off the wall insane.
It is off the rails. Like, the dog being released to, like, chase down people. The kids down in the basement that are eating people.
Yeah.
Let's see. There's a kid in the walls.
Yep.
That's tormenting these people. These people are literally taking kids and they're forcing them to be their children.
Yeah.
There's a little girl that's stuck in this house with them. It's not even their kid. They kidnapped her.
Yeah.
Let's see.
So basically, so the situation with the kids is that they had a see no evil, speak no evil, hear no evil policy.
Yeah.
And if they broke it, they were thrown down into this basement. The one.
Well, I think it's once they hit like puberty. That's pretty much when they got thrown down in the basement.
The one kid played by Sean Whalen had actually like screamed for help, and they ended up cutting out his tongue.
Mm-hmm.
So to survive, they're getting no food, so they have to become cannibals.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Which is like what?
Yeah. So basically, anybody that like gets into the house that's not supposed to be there, they kill them and just throw them in the basement. And then not only that, the crazy father figure guy ends up eating some of these people too. Like,
Mommy and
they're
Daddy.
cannibals, mommy and daddy. Yeah. He's running around in like some BDSM leather gear, and he's got his dog, and he's shooting holes with a shotgun. And they have this crazy security system that like slams. Like, I think they should have used that security system for the Purge, man. I'm just saying.
Well, what's really interesting is that this is actually way before Twin Peaks, but this is Big Ed and his crazy Drake beloved wife from Twin Peaks.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So like you got the two robbers and Fool, and the two robbers end up getting killed, and Fool, he's just trying to like.
He's just running around through the walls. He's just like a little kid. He can get
he's
through
running through
small
the walls.
spaces.
Yep.
Yeah. It's and then like you said before, it's like we found out not only that the Robesons are also they're inbred. And they, only have sex with each other. Mm-hmm. But apparently the family bloodline had sold, like, cheap coffins, and then, like, that's how they made their money. Mm-hmm. And then they turned their fortune into real estate to fuck other people over.
And they got this big safe down in the basement where they got all their money and stuff like that.
I wouldn't say it's one of his best offerings, but it's. I mean, look, it definitely has it has a role to play in the history of horror, for sure.
Yeah. You gotta watch this one.
But you definitely love this a lot more.
Yeah. You gotta just go watch this one. It's off the rails.
I respect it where you love it, where you can literally watch it like every other day.
I could.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you have.
I have.
You have.
I have.
Our next Still Leads the Light when it comes to Don't Open the Doors, another film that it is, it's, clearly it's a remake of the original Last House on the Left. And this is another Wes Craven, jam. So, and the reason I say that is because even though it's a remake, this was actually before Wes Craven died, he actually built his own production company called Midnight Productions. And he wanted to see if he could actually do something bigger with the story that he had originally created.
Yeah.
So obviously Last House on the Left, he wasn't able to do everything he was able to do, or he wanted to do. Because, it didn't have the budget, like it was, like one of his first films. He filmed it out in Sean Cunningham's backyard, you know what I mean? Sean Cunningham, of course, was the producer of the Friday 13th films.
Yeah.
So it's a bunch of buddies just filming shit in the woods.
Now this one movie does have, it does have a scene that's very hard for me to watch. There's a 5-minute rape scene that you can skip past that.
Well, you remember years ago that I was friendly with the original Sadie, who was married to Richard Dreyfuss. She told me, in one of the first interviews I'd ever done, that Wes Craven had actually had a scene where he wanted to have the Sadie character like cut off one of the girl's breasts and like eat it.
Ew, gross.
And they didn't have the budget for it, so they scrapped it. They didn't do it.
Okay.
So yeah, Last House on the Left, the original one, was just gonna get a lot fucking worse than it was, and
I
that
don't
was
know.
pretty bad.
This one has one of my ultimate favorite kills in it, though.
I think the other thing that is unique about this movie is that, like, dude, the original movie is just I mean, it's like considered torture porn.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Even though there are some really intense, horrible things that happen in this movie, that's not what this is.
Mm-hmm.
This is like kind of like putting it in a more human perspective when it comes to the characters.
Right.
What do you think about this movie, Mel?
This one was a harder one for me to watch, only because of the grape scene. But it does have some of my favorite kills in it, and I like the fact that when the daughter gets home, and the father, who is a doctor, realizes that his daughter has been violated, that him and his wife decide to come after these people, which they actually show up at his house. They let him stay in their, what was it, the guest house?
So it's a real, like, before we get into that, it's a real simple premise, pretty much. Like, you have their daughter Mary.
Mm-hmm.
She comes home from college, right? Or is she?
She's still in high school.
She's still in high school. Okay. So anyway, they are going off to their vacation home.
I think they went on vacation one last time before they went back to school.
Before going back to school.
That's right.
Right. And, like, the father works all the time. Like, he even sleeps on the ride there, doesn't he?
Mm-hmm.
He's so tired from being a doctor, doing doctor stuff. Long hours and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
So they go to this beautiful, place, and, like, they had lost their son. So there is some stuff there, in terms of, like, just emotional depth when it comes to, like, their family, outline and whatnot. You know what I mean? They're not like a cookie cutter family. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, there's some real, like, tension there, I guess. Like, you can tell they love each other, but at the same time, there's, like, this...
There's grief that hasn't been dealt with there, yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, she's going to meet her friend Paige in town. And, Paige is the wild one,
Mm-hmm.
So they see this young boy, and they think, Paige thinks he's kind of cute. He ends up taking him back to his motel room.
They smoke pot, get
Smoke
drunk,
pot, and they're saying, like, oh, you're a little cutie, whatever. And, like, her friend's like, yo, like, let's get out of here, you know what I mean?
Right,
Like,
yeah.
and it's too late, because that's when Krug and his gang come into the motel room. And it turns out that, like, they were a very, like, violent criminal gang.
Oh, yeah.
Which you find out in the beginning, because there's a scene where these two cops get killed, where they rescue Krug from the cop car. Man, it's brutal.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
And you could tell just, from what Krug does with wrapping the seatbelt around the cop's neck and putting his picture of his family in front of him as he basically chokes him and fucking, like, pushes the seatbelt into, like, broken glass on the door. Jesus Christ, this guy's a fucking monster.
Yeah, he is.
Which is where, we come to find out when they end up leaving the motel and they feel that they can't let Paige and Mary go. They take them off to the woods, and, that's where, I would say all hell breaks loose pretty much.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah.
Yeah.
But Paige is a swimmer, so she does
Mary's a swimmer.
Mary's a swimmer. She does break away. After what happens to her, she does get away, and she jumps into the river, and she swims home.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's the great thing about this is that, like, they did, like, have that little addition, is that Mary has a strength, and her strength is swimming. You know what I mean? So she was able to, like, dodge, like, 10 fucking bullets before one finally hit her. It starts to, storm, so they need to find a place to stay. I think the young kid is pretty much in on the idea that it's Mary's parents' house.
Right.
But they knock on the door, and they're just like, hey, what do they say? They're, like, traveling Bible salesmen or some shit like that. I don't know, something crazy. But, we're stuck out here. We're wondering if we can get a place to stay. Parents are real cool about it. They give them, like, the lake
and they had
house,
already hid their daughter, too. She had already come home. They already knew what had happened to her, and they had already hid their daughter.
No, they knock on the door, they let them in, and then what happens after that is, while they're there showering and fucking, like living it up, that's when they find Mary on the porch.
Mm-hmm. Oh, you're right. Yeah. Okay.
And that's when, of course, the light flickers in the parents' heads, where it's like, oh, well, clearly these have to be the people. Our next Deadly Delight, when it comes to open the door, is a film that is directed by Eli Roth. Man, I remember when this movie came out. First of all, you either knew about this movie or you didn't, because it really wasn't that well known, or you just absolutely fucking hated it. I knew a lot of people hated this movie. They said it was like one of Eli Roth's worst.
A lot of people decided to watch this movie because it had Keanu Reeves in it.
Yes, absolutely. But we're going to be talking about Knock Knock, which had this wild fucking resurgence when it got released on Netflix. Tons of people were watching it. Like young kids and like a bunch of people had never seen it before, and it just like had this huge like kind of uprising. It was weird that would be the movie to do it.
Right.
The thing I love about this movie, not love. Let me rephrase that. I do enjoy this movie, but the thing I enjoy about it is that it shows, just like Tarantino, Eli Roth has the same love for like really campy like older exploitation films, because this is a remake.
Okay.
It's actually based off. There was a movie that came out in the 70s called Death Game, and it starred like a very young Colleen Camp, and if you saw her face, you would know who she is right away. But it's pretty much the same premise. These two girls like basically torture this guy in his home. Mm-hmm. So yeah, Knock Knock is also. I think it's one of the first American introductions of Ana de Armas.
Oh yeah, you're right. Okay.
Yeah. So I mean, clearly you don't get more stunning than that. You know what I mean? And then just like
gorgeous,
it really just like puts it into light. Like, why would Keanu Reeves let these girls in? Well, like
right.
But anyway, you had said that you don't really care for this movie.
I mean, it was okay, but it took me a minute to get into it. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Because like
it's very. Like very involved when it comes to the actual plot, like getting you into it, and there's really no need for it. Why do you need all that?
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, you don't really need all that shit. Mm. Okay, so Keanu's a family man, he's married, she's an artist, she goes off. We don't need all this fucking dialogue. Just get to it. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. You can cut all that shit out and just like get to the point where it's raining. Ana de Armas and her friend, come to the door, and got these two kittens soaking wet outside, and they're just like, well, our cell phones are dead, and then she's like, oh yeah, totally, you can come in here.
Well, and
because I'm a good guy.
And you notice too, like in the beginning, like he really was trying to like keep them off of him. Like he was trying to keep his distance and everything.
Yeah.
And they literally forced themselves on him.
Not the first time.
Well, they literally pulled his pants down on him. Like, he was trying to push them away. He was trying to get him out into the car to get them to leave.
I don't know, man. That's called seduction as far as I'm concerned. You know what I mean? I mean, that dude... really, it was just like, no. Okay. We're just going to have a threesome in the fucking... You know what I mean? Like, come on. Like, he wanted it. He totally did. But there is a scene where, like, one of the girls forces herself on him in the bed.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
They record it, yeah.
Yeah. They're going to... Well, they say they're going to FaceTime his wife if he doesn't do it.
Right.
So,
And that's what they used to upload to destroy his life.
Right, exactly. Yeah. So, these two young girls are walking through the house or whatever.
They trashed this house.
Well, no, hold on.
Totally
not yet. It. So, like, they're just hanging out in robes and stuff, and then he just finally has a change in heart, and he goes, I made a mistake. Get the fuck out of here. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And they're giggling as they run out the door. And then they come back. And they beat him over the head with a sculpture, and that's when, I guess their party ensues because they bust up the fucking, the house. Mm-hmm. They're putting all kinds of shit on the walls. They're
oh my god, and
breaking stuff.
They're destroying his wife's sculpture.
Yep. Oh, that's another thing. Her partner, I guess, like her art.
Oh yeah, they killed his part. They killed her partner.
Yep, made a sculpture. Yes. Made some sort of art out of him. Then they were gonna
film
it and like make it so. Keanu would get in trouble for killing the guy, because supposedly, like, he found out he was cheating on his wife with this guy. Like, dude, these girls are horrible.
Yeah, they are insane. They are insane.
Yeah. But, the thing about this movie is that, like, it's not serious. It's kind of funny, actually, especially when he's screaming about, I fucked you, I got you pizza.
Oh my god, right?
I'm a good guy.
Right?
Why are you doing this to me? So what do they do at the end, Mel?
So in the end, they basically
They bury him.
They bury him
With his head sticking out.
With his head sticking out. They put his phone, where he had left his Facebook page up. They uploaded the video.
Well, first they say they're going to bash his head in with a huge rock.
And then she's like, "No, we're not going to do that. You really know we're going to do that."
We're not going to do that. We just want to ruin your life.
Yeah.
And steal your dog.
They did. They stole his dog in the end. I was like, what? They stole his dog?
So I think these girls literally just fucking go from, like place to place and just fuck with.
Oh, yeah, totally.
They do it to a lot of guys. Because, they got nothing better to do, I guess.
Probably, yeah.
Mel, what is our final deadly delight when it comes to home invasion?
Hush.
That's right, Hush, which is our linchpin that we were talking about in the beginning. Oh man, if you guys haven't seen this movie, it's so wonderful, and I can just spew out this diatribe for days about this movie, which I won't, because we got stuff to do in life and stuff. But it's so interesting to me how this movie dovetails into Midnight Mass, which is a totally different thing. And the reason why it does so well is because Maddie Young, who is the deaf author, that was the book that made her the international bestseller she was. And that's why she was at that, remote place, just trying to get some inspiration to write a new book.
Right.
But there's things that in Midnight Mass that Kate Siegel's character says, because it's supposed to be like, in Mike Flanagan's world, like Midnight Mass is the book, so you're seeing the story of the book, sort of like he's the Stephen King of that world, like he wrote that book, Midnight Mass. But the things that Kate Siegel's character is saying that, I can't, she just feels like, separated from everybody and sort of mute from everybody. It feels like the voice of a young author who's deaf writing it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Which is amazing that you can actually do that. But anyway, it starts off with this simple home invasion film where she plays, a deaf author, like we said before. And, her friend is introduced, and there's, there's a little bit of interaction. But then, of course, when night comes, you just have this fucking maniac standing outside her door.
Just trying to get in. Yeah.
Trying to get in. And it's so terrifying because of, I think this, just the design they used, for the audio and stuff really works effectively. The fact that she actually has, this huge, fire alarm on her. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Also, he used ultrasound noises.
Yep.
So you can actually, feel like you're in Maddie's world. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, then not only that, you gotta remember, too, he had already killed her next door neighbors.
Yes.
Yeah, he's just going around killing
with
people.
A crossbow and all kinds of stuff, yeah.
Yep.
But this dude is
that's all he wants to do. He just wants to go around, torture people, torment them, and then kill them.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it.
He's not taking anything
there's
from them.
There's no motivation except for that.
Mm-hmm.
And then she starts, writing on the door, basically I'm deaf. And that just gives him more of a chubby, and he's just like, oh, I'm gonna, fucking...
I'm gonna have fun with this one,
I'm gonna have fun with you. Yeah. So she's trying to plead with this guy, and there's no pleading.
No.
He's just writing back all, this is what I'm gonna do to you.
Right. Yeah, he's just crazy. Super crazy.
And he's got this really cool mask, but once he takes it off, I think he's even scarier without the mask, to be honest with you, because you can tell this dude just has no remorse for anything.
No, he just wants to kill people.
Yeah.
He just wants to, it's like a hunt. He's like a hunter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess so.
Yeah.
Here's my question, though. Why would this guy be out in the middle of nowhere trying to kill people? I guess because it's easier to do?
Probably because it's harder to get caught.
Sure.
If you're out in the woods...
Well, he was able to dispatch that cop pretty quick, so maybe you're right. Yeah. If you have an Andy of Maybury as opposed to, a huge fucking police force in the city, it's probably a lot easier to get away.
Right, exactly.
What else do you have to say about this movie? Because I know you love it just like I do.
Oh my god. I mean, just the psychological terror of this, the way he just completely decimates her mentally.
Yeah.
It's just,
Well, Well, he had already, that's the thing. Is like, he's so artful in his, like whatever this game is. He already gotten into the house. He got her fucking cell phone.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, so he just goes outside and just to play the fucking game.
Yeah.
Knowing full well that she's going to run to the door, she's going to try to lock it, and he's just like, oh yeah, game's on now. You know what I mean?
Right, yeah.
Holy shit.
Yeah, this guy
That's horrifying. You know what I mean? To be in a situation like that where you're with a person that actually has absolutely no feeling for you whatsoever. No feeling for,
complete psychopath.
Yeah. Crutches don't matter. Fucking, all that stuff.
He wants to do what he wants to do, yeah.
And again, like the other thing that we should mention is that this was actually co-written by Kate Siegel, Mike Flanagan's wife.
Yeah.
So, dude, she's just a fucking force of nature, too.
Yeah.
Not only just in, like, all of his, like, Haunting a Hill House and all that stuff, which she's incredible in every single one of them. You can tell, she's got a gift for writing. Because this is just such a simple story, but the way that it was fleshed out was so beautifully, like, crafted. You know what I mean? Like, we're talking about, like, the sound design and stuff to make you feel like you're her. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That kind of shit. So, of course, the tagline for the movie is silence can sometimes be a killer. And Maddie, she outsmarts this motherfucker in a lot of good ways.
Yep. She sure does.
But she does get hurt quite a bit in the process.
Oh, my God, yeah.
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 But she does get the upper hand in the end.
Yes, she does. She gets him.
Because he tries to jump in through the skylight, which is a really stupid idea.
I mean...
I think he pretty much, like, lost his plot after that.
Yeah.
He's just like, you know what, fuck it. I'm just gonna, I'm sick of this bitch. I'm just gonna end it right now.
Right.
I don't even care. I'm not even gonna run around the house, with, strategically anymore. I'm just gonna fucking do
Right.
something stupid, and she just catch me as soon as I do it. But yeah, this is one of the best home invasion films there's ever been. That is our show. Thank you very much for your continued love and support. Actually, want to give a little shout out to our TikTok followers. We just started a new TikTok channel for the Deadly Delights, and man, it's starting to explode pretty quick. So if you guys like us, please subscribe to the channel. If we can get the same traction that we can get on TikTok on this channel, we could do wonders.
Dude,
as
oh my
horror
God,
media,
right?
content creators. So we will scare you later. Talk to you soon. Bye.
Yeah.